Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Topic. Well, this week I am going through a lot of nightmare visions and grabbing my red cape. I'm Alex.
And, I'm a bit of a villain when it comes to using my sorcery, but it's all right. Doctor Strange is the hero. I'm Dan.
Yeah,
and this week,
what have we got, Dan?
We are going to be breaking down the new Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness trailer, which came out during the Super Bowl. But before we dive into that, Alex, what have you been up to? What's going on in Alex's world?
Not an awful lot, Dan. Lots of work. Staying indoors. This is going to date the podcast, but I'm going to say anyway. In the UK, we've had Storm Eunice, did you call it? Offhand, Dan.
Yes, Storm Eunice. We're not face to face this week because of that. Traveling in pretty much apocalyptic weather. I don't know if you had it earlier, Alex. Apart from the wind, did you have any hail?
We didn't know, but I mean, there was some very strong winds and car alarms and bits of debris flying around, and we're quite used to the windy weather down here in Portsmouth, aren't we, Dan? But this is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it was elevated to like level red over here in the weather. It was, could harm life, if that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, but no, we are locked behind, hopefully, our safe doors and windows and seeking shelter, Dan. But no, otherwise, not an awful lot. Did you? Out of interest, actually, did you watch any of the Super Bowl? Are you interested in American football?
No, do you know what? A lot of my friends are into American football, but
Joey, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah,
Joey from our partner thread supplier, Morbid and Mundane.
Yeah, so some of my previous band members in Catch Me Comet, they're all American football fans. I've tried. I can't get into it. My heart will always be in blue. It will always be with football / soccer to our American listeners. It's Portsmouth. I can't sell my soul to anyone else.
I tried watching the Super Bowl once. I don't know now. It sounds really old now. About 10, 12 years ago. Could be longer. And I just couldn't get on with it. Every 10 seconds, they'd pause play and then they'd go to an advert break. And then nothing would happen.
Mm.
And so I just got a bit fed up with it. But what I would say, Dan, because I'm not here to slag off American football. That's not the purpose of me asking you. Did you see the halftime show?
I didn't. No.
Oh, mate. I'll send you the link. It's amazing. You got all of the old R&B and rappers in there. You got Mary J. Blige. You got 50 Cent. You got Snoop Dogg. You got Dr. Dre. I've forgotten loads of others. It was amazing. It was very, very good. It's about 10, 12 minutes of a medley all together at the end, and it's lovely. So lots of nostalgia. It's really good. And actually, a little bit of a fact for you, Dan. I mean, a lot of listeners who perhaps are outside of the pond, they know this. But Dan, did you know how much each of the halftime singers get as a result of apparently the most watched event of the year? Guess how much they get for their appearance?
Do they get something ridiculous like in the million mark?
No, go the other way.
Oh, so I'm going to the hundreds.
Go the other way.
Oh, you want me to go higher up?
No, lower.
Lower.
I'll help you out, Dan.
Go on.
I'll help you out. 0.
They get nothing.
Get nothing. I'm sure they have a rider, right?
Holy shit.
I'm sure they get a rider, but they don't get paid for it.
Wow. Okay, that's blown my mind.
Gets absolutely nothing. 0. So, I mean, obviously, appearances and they're going to be sponsored and there's no doubt product placement, but yeah, they get absolute zilch. But bet your ass, you'll see their streams go through the roof as a result. Dr. Dre and Snoop and the rest of it will have their songs played on Spotify or something. So they'll get bank subsequently, but not as a result of the Super Bowl, Dan, which I think is really interesting. But it's always been that way.
Wow. That's just nuts.
It just is. But anyway, that's me. Before we get on to more about the Super Bowl, or indirectly, anything else from you? What you've been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, I finished The Witcher season 2, so I needed something new to watch,
Oh, yeah.
and it's been on my radar for about a year. Apple TV. My other half got it for free when she bought her iPad, so we just hooked up to the TV, had a look, and we've started watching Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah, you shared this with me, didn't you? I hadn't heard of this.
Yeah, it's genuinely fantastic. So a football owner brings in an American football coach. There we go. We're on topic. And he won like a sort of an irrelevant league, nothing major. He won a league with his team, and he's been brought in to basically destroy the club because he doesn't know anything. He's just an American. I know this is sort of cast and shade a little bit, but that is the synopsis of the show. This is what happened. And it's just phenomenal. I think it's fantastic. It's very endearing. It's funny. It does have its sort of moments where, it puts a lump in your throat. We've just watched episode 7 of season 1.
Wow,
for me, and this is bold, this is up there with Sex Education.
Oh, really?
For me, it is, yeah.
Oh, okay. I might try and get on this.
I think you should, Alex. I think you'll love it. If you're a football fan, I genuinely think you'll love it.
Okay, because this is I don't think I've ever shared this with you, Dan, or listeners, but a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine is the film series Goal. Have you ever seen that?
No, I think you have shared this with me though. It rings a bell.
Yeah, it is good secret. So it's one of those cheaper Lionsgate type British films, if you know what I mean, Dan.
Yeah,
like it's not quite so Paramount or 20th Century Fox type style. It will see cinema, but it'll only be in there maybe a week or two, or fill the gaps in between the big films out on schedule. But it basically follows, I think it's 3 films, but it follows a fledgling football star from, I think, Brazil, if memory serves me. I need to watch it again because I really do like it. It's a feel-good film. But he comes from poverty. I think he's favelas, and you can see how it's going. He gets picked up by a coach, a UK coach who goes across the world to find new players, and ends up at Newcastle. And it's effectively a spotlight on that film of Newcastle Football Club, but it's around this player who ends up going on the bench, comes off on the, as just a stroke of luck. Fans are booing him because I don't know who the hell he is. And he scores a goal and everyone loves him. Of course, that's just how fickle the game is, right? We all know that. Any football club around the world, football club, hockey club, whatever it is, the fans will love you if you score. Anyway, he ends up going from strength to strength. He has a rival. They fall out. He gets lots of money, meets a girlfriend in the cafe, that kind of thing. She's Northern, speaks funny to him. He speaks funny to her, and they've got lots in common as a result. And it's a feel good. And at the end, I think he ends up winning the season with them. Anyway, fast forward to the next. I just spoiled it, but there is a journey, and it's really, really good. I would urge you to watch it, Dan, because you like this Apple TV. Anyway, second season, he goes to Real Madrid. He loses his way, forgets his roots, ends up becoming a bit of a tit. Lots of money, cheats on his girlfriend, who he's besotted with. At the end, the cliffhanger where she's pregnant. Oh shit!
Oh,
he doesn't know. The third film, he returns back, maybe United, back to the Premier League. Finds out his ex-girlfriend now is pregnant. Blah 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 blah. It's really good. Stretches, 3 films, maybe 4 or 5 years in real time. Not the films are worth 4 or 5 years, but obviously, it goes on season to season. It's really good, so I'd recommend it, Dan. It's quite a nice sports drama film, but it's centered around UK football primarily, and then obviously Real Madrid. So go have a watch. You'll probably find it on. I probably want to say it's probably going to be a Prime job, Amazon Prime, but I could thoroughly recommend it.
I'll jump on board that. But looking at Ted Lasso, I mean, the cast isn't sort of well known, really. You've got Jason Sudeikis, who plays Ted Lasso, Hannah Waddingham, who plays the owner of Richmond Football Club, and her husband, or should I say ex-husband, is played by Anthony Stewart Head, who people remember as Giles from Buffy. And of course, she's trying to destroy the club because she's bitter against her husband. That's pretty much it.
Oh.
But you start to see this sort of cold facade sort of start to drop as you go further through the series. But yeah, it's brilliant. You've got a British comedian, Nick Mohammed. He's fantastic. He's just a kit man, but ends up becoming sort of part of the coaching team. It's so good. It's so good. And yeah, if anyone's got Apple TV, get on board. Even if you don't like football, there's not really a lot of football in it. It's just a ding-dang delight.
Brilliant.
But on topic with the episode, Alex, going on to the MCU, I don't know if I've mentioned this in a recent episode, but I recently watched The Eternals.
I don't think you have, no.
I haven't.
What do you reckon about it?
I liked it.
Hmm.
It's a bit of a slow burn. I know it's probably not for everyone, but I quite enjoyed it. So me and my other half, we sort of sit down, chill out on a Saturday evening, get some beers out. And yeah, no, we both really enjoyed it. I know it probably wasn't your cup of tea though, was it, Alex? You went to see it at the cinema.
Yeah, it wasn't amazing. I think they could just done a little bit more of the backstory. They talk about thousands of years worth of human history and they only touched on a couple of points. So yeah, it wasn't all for me. It was more of a set-up film, Dan.
Yeah.
Right? And lots of interesting potential spin-offs and Easter eggs. Let's face it, will probably come through Kit Harington and Mahershala Ali. So I think what comes next will be interesting. I wasn't overly enamoured by it. It's not to say it's a terrible film, just it's not even my top 10, Dan. Not even my top 15, probably.
No, I mean, it wouldn't fall into my top 10, but yeah, no, I think it had something. And I think, I remember sort of reading rumours that was it, that they weren't going to do any more Eternals films, but I think there is rumours of a second one now, so.
There is, yeah.
You never know with Kevin Feige. We thought we were going to get Inhumans and get him fobbed off onto a really horrific TV series, which I watched 2 episodes and it was shit.
Question for you.
Yes.
Harry Styles, you rate him, don't you, in this? The 20 seconds that he features in the film.
Zeros, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's very good. He suits the character to a T, yeah. My other half probably agrees more than I do because she reads a lot of She-Hulk comics and Eros appears in that.
Oh, right, okay.
But he fits the role quite well. I know Harry Styles probably isn't for everyone, but it's the MCU. They don't really get their casting wrong.
No, they really. Yeah.
Usually it's the villains that sort of go a bit tits up and you go, that was shit. But, I'd say it was probably more the older films, say the more recent ones.
Okay. Good stuff.
But maybe an episode for the future. MCU villains, perhaps. But let's dive into Doctor Strange, Alex. So I sent you a fact this week, which sort of blew my mind. It was the most watched Super Bowl VI trailer this year and it accumulated 93.12 million views.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
This is how far we've come with superhero films. I remember growing up, reading comics, superhero films, they weren't cool. I always thought it was just like me that like these things. I used to get a bit of jip at school. Why do you like X-Men? Why do you like Marvel? But now it seems to be the thing.
Yeah.
So much so that people were on social media speculating about all the rumours and stuff. But it's always the casuals that go, oh, why are we getting She-Hulk? She-Hulk's been a character in the comics since 1980, mate. Grow up.
Yeah.
But hey, that's me getting beefy now.
Jargon. But yeah, well watched, well liked. And this is your opportunity if you haven't seen it. I'd say have a look in the description below because there's a link, so there's no excuse. And we've got a blow-by-blow account of what you can expect in the trailer. We're going to tease some potential spoilers. So I guess, Dan, probably want to put the spoiler alert in just in case any of what we say is correct, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we go.
Getting used to that klaxon,
It's beauty.
We brought it out quite a lot recently, but I think we're going back to some obscure episodes after we've done Cobra Kai in the following episode. But yeah, we'll talk about more about that later.
Indeed. Now this is of course just cast our mind back a continuation of a number of different elements, Dan. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
So, WandaVision plays a part in this that feeds into it. We've got Loki, one assumes.
Yes.
And of course, the original Doctor Strange is after the events of No Way Home. So it's really quite an important film, Dan. I think it brings a lot of things together, doesn't it?
It does. You know, in Loki, we saw basically the multiverse happen. We've seen No Way Home break open the multiverse, so things coming into our world that, you know, we wouldn't expect to see. And, you know, of course, we've had the events of WandaVision, which I don't know how much this is going to play into it, but one can only assume that, you know, there's something in this story for Wanda.
There are some theories.
But it looks like a bit of a horror, doesn't it?
I think it does. It's got some interesting themes. Should we roll up our sleeves and dive straight in?
Let's do it. Let's dive in.
So, Dan, it kicks off with Doctor Strange's nightmare. So he's stood on just outside of his mansion. The mansion's crumbling.
Yeah,
the
Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah, it's looking a bit dilapidated, a bit gritty. The skeleton's outside, and he's looking back at the what was once a lovely bit of architecture, and it's giving horror vibes, isn't it?
It really is. It's quite creepy. In this scene, though, you can spot on the back of Strange's cloak what appears to be repaired with a bit of blue material.
Mm-hmm.
In previous concept art for Doctor Strange, a blue cloak was almost used.
Huh.
Bit of a little Easter egg there, but
I love it.
Yeah. We saw it in the first teaser trailer. I've got to point out, this is Stephen's watch, which we previously saw in the first film. It's broken. Now, there is a theory that this could symbolize how time and space are fracturing.
Okay.
It's a bit symbolic.
Probably.
Maybe look into it a little bit, but yeah.
Why not? And then we also flick to a scene where Kamar-Taj is under attack. There's lots of bits and pieces flying. There's almost a centaur, isn't it? A guy with horns in his head. Half human, half centaur.
You know that smoke stuff that's sort of descending down on it?
Yeah.
There is another theory going around the internet that, do you remember the smoke creature from Loki, Goliath?
Oh yeah, it's him.
Goliath. It could be him.
That would make a lot of sense.
I mean, if that is Goliath, then oh boy, it's not good. I mean, he was eating things and destroying things in the sort of that. Wow, it was like a realm, wasn't it? Where Loki was. I can't remember what it was called now. But hey,
not a great place to be, and certainly not if you're a fledgling sorcerer in the making. There's lots of destruction, and it seemingly it's just, you know, it's a dead end of the road for this place of education and wisdom.
Yeah, it's not looking good. I'm going to get the trailer up now, just so I'm sort of on point with things.
Whilst we're doing that, Dan, so we now see a new character in America Chavez.
Yes.
It's our first shot where she's opening there's some kind of portal behind her, and she looks like she is manipulating the multiverse. It looks like she's fighting some kind of demon, some hideous thing that's in her face.
It's a bit ropey, isn't it?
Yeah. On second glance, it looks like it's a little bit like, again, it's going to age us, but it is a trailer after all. So it's going to, a little bit like the, you know, in Moon Knight, the trailer also, we saw another trailer very recently of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Where the bandages are taking control of that character. It looks a little bit similar like that. Of course, this is particularly creepy and horrific. But anyway, we do see America Chavez, and she's got her very iconic denim jacket on with the star on the back.
Yeah. Now, the star actually represents her ability to create star-shaped portals that allow her to trek across the multiverse. Now, I didn't know that. Not a character that I'm too au fait with in the comics, but thought that was quite interesting. So this character can go across the multiverse as she pleases.
Well, speaking of portals and the multiverse, well, if you blink, you will miss it. There is a Defender Strange, a variant of Strange in the shot just after that, where he's sporting a new costume, Dan, and he's got a distinctive, he's got distinctive stripes in his hair, but he's also got a new logo on his front. It's a black and red outfit. It looks like that he's also part of the fight. He looks a bit bashed up. He looks pretty cool. Looks quite menacing, Dan.
He really does. We see some other variants of Doctor Strange in this trailer, which we'll talk about shortly. But after the scene where he sort of wakes up from his nightmare after all these like crazy events, we see him dabbling with a little bit of chaos magic, which is the magic which Wanda wields, specifically from WandaVision. Now, what I thought was interesting is that the MCU has color-coded the different types of magic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the red represents Wanda's chaos magic, and the dark dimension magic that Caecilius notably used in Doctor Strange.
Yes, yeah. Not good.
No.
And of course, we then see Benedict Wong, who's, of course, the new Sorcerer Supreme that we learn in No Way Home.
Yep.
And he looks a little bit worse for wear. That's not because he's fighting monsters in the cage fighting in Shang-Chi. No, it looks like he's hopefully survived the onslaught of Kamar-Taj at the beginning of the trailer. But nonetheless, he's giving more pearls of wisdom, I think, telling off Doctor Strange in terms of what he's done.
You can't control everything, Strange, he says.
Cannot control everything, Strange.
I don't think we've reflected on that really, because I think it's interesting that I don't remember who did in the review, but either way, I still think it's interesting that Wong is now the teacher, because obviously so much time's passed during the blip, the snappings we call it, of course, you know that, guys. He's more knowledgeable than Strange, and obviously Strange, you know, he was on magical steroids in the first film, wasn't he? Because he was reading when he was in his astral plane when he was sleeping. Well, Wong's been hitting the books hard, and he's now the Sorcerer Supreme, and he's now chastising what was the master. He's now a student. I think it's an interesting turn of tables.
Yeah, we also see the return of his old flame, if I recall. What was her name?
Dr. Christine Palmer, yes.
Yes, that's it.
But what's happening to her, Dan?
Well, it looks like she's getting married, because it looks like in the background of this scene is her husband or husband-to-be.
Her groom, yeah. And I think we believe that Strange is in attendance to the wedding, but I mean, this harkens back. These got visions of the Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer in my mind, Dan. I'm not sure if you have that horrific imprint in your mind. It was not a great film. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. And Reed Richards is getting married at the top of, I guess, the Chrysler building or something. And the Silver Surfer comes and breaks up the wedding. It's got vibes of that. Something happens. And yeah, it looks like there's some kind of disruption, which may be strange. It could be, you know, this dark cloud of death. But either way, yeah.
People running through the streets.
Yeah. It looks like she has moved on in those 5 years. And quite rightly, you're not going to wait forever, are you?
No. And after that, we cut to a scene of Wanda, who looks like she's sort of meditating or doing whatever, you know, these crazy witches and sorcerers do. But if you look closely, her fingers are starting to turn black, much like Agatha's did when she used the Darkhold in WandaVision. So things are starting to get a bit ugly.
Yeah, not good. She's she might become the villain in this film, Dan. That's all I'm going to say.
She could. There is a theory. One of my friends said this on Facebook, but someone disagreed with him. But you know what? I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
You're not the first to say it.
Won't be the last.
No. And then we sort of see something from one of the previous trailers where Doctor Strange, Chavez and Christine open a door. And it looks like what could be the nexus of all realities from the comics. Now, in the comics, the nexus is the cross-dimensional gateway. Now, this provides a path to all possible realities. It's basically the place between realities, and it would make sense that we are headed here, especially after Loki.
Now, speaking of Loki, Dan, I'm getting a lot of vibes in this next section. This is probably one of the most interesting and exciting for fans of the franchise. Because Strange, around the 1 minute mark, well, he's being paraded around some very grand halls. Now, interesting enough, I've paused it. I didn't mean to, but in the 1 minute mark, 1 minute 11, Dan, and he's being marched up some stone steps. Actually, do you know what building that is?
No. I'm just looking at it now, actually.
With the statues and the marble white and the glass ceiling. Looks very grand.
Oh, is it Grand Central Station?
It's not. I think close to home, Dan.
No. I've
been here many a time. I love this place.
Is it St. Paul's Cathedral?
No, warmer.
Oh, you're testing me now. You're going to have to tell me.
A place where you learn. It's the British Museum.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, 100%. It's the British Museum. It's got a lovely glass lattice roof, and it's got the marble staircase that just winds itself around and connects the upper tiers. Anyway, didn't realise that. Guys, you're learning, we're learning along with you. British Museum there. But anyway, the reason, not because it's a British Museum, but actually is because it looks like Strange is going to be paying for the offence of the previous film that coincidentally, he probably doesn't even remember, Dan, because he cast a bloody spell to forget actually who Peter Parker was. So he probably forgot that he actually cast a spell in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts.
Go on.
I've just paused it, and there's a moment where he's walking into this room, and of course, Marvel being Marvel have CGI'd out the people in the chairs, but I think that we've got a theory around that, as does the internet.
Well, they do, but just before that, so he's being walked into that room by what, Dan? Do you recognise what they look like? They look
like the not Ultron bots, but what were the ones that it is?
Yeah, it's the Ultron bots. It's the Ultron bots from the original comics. No, this is a particularly very good theory. And the theory, Dan, is that, I think you're referring to the Iron Legion back in...
That's it.
Age of Ultron. But this looks like the comic versions. And there's a theory, Dan, because we do actually see a version of Iron Man in this, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yes.
But there's a theory that the version of Iron Man that we'll see momentarily, it may or may not be Tom Cruise, but we'll talk about it in a sec.
Oh, God, yeah.
I know. Is that actually in our MCU Stark version, our variant, he wasn't successful in building that shield around the world, but perhaps this one was. And actually we're seeing a more successful version of a Stark enterprise, for a better term. Which I think is a really fascinating kind of take on the whole multiverse, right? What happens if it's not RDJ, it's a different Iron Man, and Tony was successful. He made world peace, and he's got an army of Ultron bots, and he actually set out and achieved what he meant to. That's a really interesting take, because actually, in theory, everything else after that would never have happened. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Now, apparently there is someone in a chair to the far left. Now, a lot of fans are speculating it's Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, rumoured to be being played by John Krasinski, who is much
Fan
sought
favourite.
after. Yeah, it's a fan favorite. Everyone wants him in the MCU, along with his wife. Forgotten her name.
Sue?
Well,
Storm?
yeah, Sue Storm. His real wife.
Oh, Emily Blunt.
That's it. Yeah, my
It's
mind
not too
went
hard
blank.
on the eyes, isn't she?
I mean, it would work. You've already got the chemistry there. It kind of makes sense. But, Kevin Feige's the man behind the mind behind it all.
They've got the chairs. Of course, some of them are empty. Yes, I think they're all going to be full. And of course, this is the Illuminati. Now, they are one of my most favourite comics because they're almost set out of the MCU, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They tend to weave in and out of major events, and they're almost nudging the events behind the scenes. And they wield so much power and influence, but no one knows it. And they have the burden of the world on their shoulders. And it's such a fascinating group of heroes that no one knows about. And they pull all the strings. But there is someone we do know about, Dan, don't we?
Yeah. It does sound like Patrick Stewart.
We should tell him the truth.
That's Professor X. So this obviously would mark the formal entry and the combination of whatever version of the Marvel Universe that we're calling the X-Men is now into the MCU.
It's happening. Just sort of give our listeners a bit of a background on the Illuminati as well. It consists of Doctor Strange, Professor Xavier, Reed Richards, Iron Man, Black Bolt, and Namor. So again, we can see the introduction of, perhaps an MCU version of Black Bolt and a good intro into Namor. But we don't know that yet. We're just speculating. But as you said, Alex, the Illuminati are basically a think tank, and they share information and strategies, meeting in secret.
Yep.
So we could potentially see an alternate Iron Man. And you said Tom Cruise is a name that's been bandied around because I think he was sort of sought after in the 90s.
Yeah.
Do I want Tom Cruise? Not really.
No.
Get in the sea.
But there is potential reference. Now, it wouldn't be the Tom Cruise show, so I don't know whether his ego would allow him to do this. But it'll be fleeting anyway. But I think it'd be a nice way to kind of have Iron Man Tony there, which is familiar but different.
Yeah.
Regardless of who it is, right? So I'm not bashing him as an actor. Tom Cruise is very hardworking, don't get me wrong, but we all know that he's meticulous and he likes all eyes on him, and the MCU is bigger than him. So I just hope it's not. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We'll talk about that in just a little second.
Yeah.
But it all goes a little bit tits up, down there. They're flying through time, and he's falling to bits. What looks like a very cool kind of cubes. He's made up of cubes, and he's falling through the multiverse. And an interesting scene, Dan, in and around, I think, the 1 minute 30 mark. We're just over halfway through now. And we see what we think is a familiar face in Benedict Cumberbatch, don't we?
Yes.
We think this could be the evil variant of the Marvel's What If.
Things just got out of hand.
Episode 4.
Now, if that's the case, we know that the What If is canon. That's going to be the first time they've introduced a live action version of that animation.
Yeah. It is also worth noting that there is an evil version of Doctor Strange in the comics. Now, he goes by the name of the Necromancer. He is an evil version of Stephen Strange from Counter-Earth. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The Necromancer diverged from Stephen's path when he decided to kill Baron Mardo. Not Mordo, Mardo. So, alternate reality. And his adventures basically paralleled his Earth's counterpart. But, I mean, I think this is probably, What If now playing canon.
Yeah.
I mean, we've said it all along when we've sort of talked about it in previous episodes. And I think it was confirmed by Kev himself. So if you haven't watched it, it's worth it. Go check it out.
Indeed.
I enjoyed
Very
it.
good. Yeah, 100%. Especially the first episode. We'll talk about that in a little sec. Because there's a little Easter egg in the poster. There's a glowing, mysterious figure flying through the air down now. For those who try to go from frame to frame, they can't work it out too much. Could be Captain Marvel. I don't think it is.
No.
It could be the Human Torch. I don't think it is. I think it is the superior Iron Man version. It's making its debut into the MCU.
Yeah, I've seen some other theories of who this glowing character could be as well, Alex. An alternate version of Maria Rambeau, who was played by Lashana Lynch in Captain Marvel, but got powers instead of Carol. It could be Monica Rambeau, played by Teyonah Parris.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
And the one that gripes me, and I can't believe this is even a thing, Jean Grey, a.k.a. the Dark Phoenix, a.k.a. Sophie Turner.
No.
Nope.
No, thank you.
We don't want it. Sorry.
But my question is, Dan, do you think they'd be so bold and brash as to introduce the Human Torch and make it Chris Evans? Do you think they could do that?
I mean,
because that would blow everyone's minds, right? The characters, but also the audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been done in No Way Home. We got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want it. We got it. And actually, it's sort of rekindled my love for those two characters, or those two actors, so much so that, we admitted in that episode that we would want an Amazing Spider-Man 3. And, maybe a Spider-Man 4, just to tell the stories after them going back from those events. I think that'd be fascinating, like genuinely.
Yeah, 100%.
Tell those stories. They're the stories that I kind of want to know now. I mean, I know the previous films were a bit trash, apart from Spider-Man 2, which, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock was just fantastic.
Yeah.
So, back to Chris Evans. Would it work? I think it could.
I think it could.
Genuinely think it could. But would it fit the him fighting? I think it looks like he's fighting Wanda.
Yeah, this is the next scene. I mean, it makes more sense that it's Monica, because then it's a rematch in the WandaVision series, and again, this is where it's probably bringing a lot of the Phase 4 to a head. So that would make more sense, but either way, it's interesting. But yeah, Scarlet Witch is going toe to toe with something.
Now, I was going through Twitter one lunchtime after watching the trailer, and Tom Taylor, who created Superior Iron Man, said something interesting.
Yes.
Now, he said that when he and his co-creator created Tony's Endo Sim armor, which is what it looks like we can see in that shot, it's actually designed to glow red or orange when he was angry. So,
and he's got the headband, or at least it looks like a headband.
Yeah,
which is what he wore, which he controlled his armor with. So, I could be up for it. I mean, it's a fully futuristic tech version of Iron Man. It's true to the comics. You got the Iron Legion. It could work, but yeah, either way, it's time will tell. But it's a fascinating number of different theories.
Yeah. Oh, there was another one. It could be Kang the Conqueror himself, or a variant of.
Yeah, not sure about that.
But no, I want it to be Superior Iron Man. And do you know what? Even if it's a brief return for RDJ, I'd love to see it.
That'll be lovely. And I think it will be brief. Whatever it is, it's going to be a quick nod, and then we'll never see it again. But that's fine. You don't need anything else. It works.
It works.
So we're back into what looks like New York.
Streets of New York.
Gargantos.
Yes.
He's throwing buses and he's eating things, and he's a bit of an ugly bastard, Dan. No
he
offense.
is a mythical one-eyed multiverse tentacle creature, and I think we did sort of get a hint of that creature in What If episode 4 as well. But yeah, we've seen this scene before in the teaser trailer where Strange creates like a saw and he cuts the bus in half, and it sort of just flies past them. But yeah, he's an ugly bastard. I'm quite looking forward to this battle.
Yeah, it looks good. It has got obvious, I guess, synergies with beginning of Endgame. Endgame? No, Infinity War.
Yeah,
Infinity War.
it does. Yeah. Good. Well noticed.
Now, Dan, you may not know. You probably do, but you may not know. He's actually the enemy of Namor, the Submariner, in the comics.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
If Namor is, and he should be because he was one of the founding members of the Illuminati, he's been subbed out of that frame. It would indicate that if it's not in this film, he's going to be in maybe Black Panther 2 or something else. So we are going to get an underwater version of Aquaman. Of course, I say that because Submariner had obviously faced some synergies, but yeah, the king of the sea might well be making his appearance.
Yeah. Again, it opens up more films or potentially a series for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Then we sort of hit a scene. I mean, it looks like everything sort of behind them is sort of dying, decaying. It's sort of red background. And, you got Wanda and Strange having that conversation. When you use your magic, you become a hero. But when I do it, I'm a villain. It almost sort of looks very similar to the garden that opens the trailer, where it's sort of quite nice and beautiful. So this could actually potentially be a false reality or an illusion that's been created by Wanda.
I do wonder. And to that point, we and preceding 20 seconds or so does take place in around the events, harkens back to the events of WandaVision. So again, if people haven't watched the TV shows, they're going to miss out because they're going to not know what the bloody hell's going on.
Yeah. Even if you just get like a month's worth and just binge the crap out of it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. But I mean, I pay the annual fee, Alex. It's only, 60 quid?
Yeah.
And
it's going up, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the content we're getting now, we're getting all these Marvel series. There's a few Star Wars ones I want to dive into. I need to watch Book of Boba Fett, actually. I know we're sidetracking away from Marvel, but
yeah.
I'm also getting Obi-Wan in May. And I think it's being released on the same day that A New Hope was released in the cinema 45 years ago, which was an interesting fact. Yeah. Well, it might be longer than that. I genuinely don't know. I'm sure I read some sort of crazy facts on the internet. I thought, that's quite nice.
Good fact. I like it. But
so,
back to the trailer. As I say, mentions of or scenes of the sets from WandaVision. And then we've got Mordo back fighting Doctor Strange.
Oh, yes, that's scheming Mordo.
Indeed. Played by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yep.
Oh, have I just done a Dan? Probably. But in my defense, it's not easy. But yeah, they punch each other, and it looks like Strange is going to be restrained by his now nemesis from the first film.
Yeah, and then we sort of get those quick flashes as you normally do in a trailer, which sort of leaves you sort of wondering about a lot of things, really. Most notably, of course, the fight with the one-eyed creature, things exploding in what looks like a temple. And then we go into Wanda's eyeball.
We do. And when we come out the other end, Dan, we might get another nod to the What If universe.
The zombie
Strange. Now, of course, we don't know whether it's a vision, which could link all the way back and probably does to the beginning. But yeah, we've got a zombie Strange variant. He's shadowy, he's got multiple arms, he's hovering, he looks very ominous, and something's going on, and he looks at his hand and it's evaporating. He's seen better days. And I think that's interesting that again we see the zombie version of Iron Man, don't we, in Long Way Home.
Yeah.
Far From Home, should I say. And in there towards the end of the film, and that's quite harrowing, quite scary to young Peter Parker. See another one in Doctor Strange. So it's again, I'm not a massive fan of the zombie Marvel franchise. I just can't get my head around it. I'm not a massive fan of it, but I acknowledge that it is big and a lot of people do. So I think this is going to be making a lot of people happy.
Yeah, Marvel sort of tend to have a habit of writing obscure comics. I don't get say the zombie thing. It works as an episode for What If. I thought that was really, really good. Very sort of Walking Dead, which I thought was fantastic, but on a superhero level. And they've done some other weird things. Well, they did like the 2099 series. Only good thing to really come out of that was Spider-Man 2099. What else was there? There was like a 1600s thing that happened. Yeah, sometimes they do things I don't get.
Yeah,
but it's obviously good. It's following, but yeah, they're not for me. I'm sort of more into the sort of modern runs and things that don't sort of sidetrack. But
there we go. Hey. And then it turns to black, and then that is all we're getting down until May.
Yes.
No, I tell a lie, because actually they tend to do a second trailer, which just gives us a little bit more of kind of what we've already guessed. But that won't be for probably a good couple of months now. But I think there's a lot to be chewing over there, and I think that's. I don't think it's out of the realm of feasibility. For what we've seen them do, and what we know how important this is, I think this could be kind of again, to use another term, the nexus event of everything that's happened in Phase 4 and slightly beforehand, before it then just goes absolutely batshit crazy towards the end of the phase into whatever ends up being after that. I think it could be a massive film that springboards a lot of the franchises off into the next stage.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to have huge implications. And it's all just sort of tying really into stuff that's kind of happened already, but on a grander event. And I think there's more to those stories, and it's going to happen in this. Are we heading towards Secret Wars?
Potentially. Shattered universes, variants of heroes. It could well be.
Well, Kevin Feige has said that there's no more Avengers films. Apparently left that behind with Endgame, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if I quite believe that sneaky bastard. I think we said that before. In fact, I think I've probably said it word for word. But I joke he's very good at telling us one direction and going in a different one. So it may not be Avengers as we know it, but it might be something different. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, Alex, not long to wait. He said May. It's due out on 6th of May, and I've got no doubt people will be flooding to the cinema to go and see it. Indeed.
We'll be there too.
Looking forward to it after that trailer, Alex?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think I was before, but I think even more so. I just love what they have showed us. And of course, there's a lot which they haven't, and that's really exciting too.
One thing I did show you this week, Alex, there was that little zoom in on the poster, and you actually checked out if it was legit.
I did.
What was it?
Episode 1 of What If. Sharon Carter? Peggy Carter.
Peggy, yeah. Sharon was the granddaughter.
Peggy Carter's Captain Britain shield. And it's in the shard of glass. It's reflected. And it's actually on the poster. Bottom right-hand corner. They're not hiding it. It's in clear view. So again, there's lots of what ifs in here. And the what if is perfect because it talks about the multiverse anyway in episode 4. That was my question to you, Dan, is would you want a Hayley Atwell Captain Britain even fleetingly for this film?
Yes.
Right answer.
Without hesitation.
No hesitation. And I agree. I think that was my favourite episode of the whole season, was because you saw a different take. She gets a serum. And I love Captain Britain anyway. I don't quite like the whole kind of round table mystic element. That's not my bag, but I like the concept of a Captain Britain. I think she'd be phenomenal. And the Hayley Atwell's always said she loved Marvel and her time with Marvel. I don't think it's over. So I think that'd be really exciting.
Yeah, bring her back and give her the shield. I want to see it. And do you know what? Even if they just do a spin-off film or a series. Something.
Well, she's already done very well with Agent Carter. I think that was 2 seasons. Yeah, and that was well received.
Was that confirmed as MCU canon, or is this like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing where they're like, nah, we'll just pass you off to the corner somewhere?
I don't know if they've ever said it, but I think it is. She's got all the characters from it. More characters than Agents of Shield, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's no stranger to it. So they could say, well, give you a film and then we'll wedge you back into, phase 5 plus. So yeah, I'd be all up for any of it, Dan. I think it'd be great.
Good stuff. Let's say not long to wait, so we'll find out more, I guess. And I'm looking forward to reviewing it and doing a deep dive into 2.5 hours of Marvel magic.
Marvel multiversal madness.
Are we going to be talking about Moon Knight? Do you think that's a worthy episode?
I think so. Yeah, it looks absolute bananas. So I think we've got to do a season review. And I think I told you, Dan, or showed you perhaps Christmas. I got Madness Runs in the Family, which is actually, they think, what this comic run is going to be based upon.
Oh wow!
And I really enjoyed it. It's a bit odd. Because the guy's got manifestations of schizophrenia, and then he's got this god in his head, and he wills the power of, I think it's Ra, and it's all a little bit strange, but I quite liked it. So yeah, let's see what happens. But what's the guy? Oscar
Isaac, yeah, comes out on the 30th of March. So I suspect that Moon Knight episode for us probably won't happen until end of April, start of May.
But I mean, it does look very good. It's an MCU Batman. It's got kick-ass vibes, and Feige said it's grittier.
Yeah, they're starting to sort of come away from that Disney-fied element for this one.
It's about time, and there's even nods to perhaps the Black Knight, which I think we've ascertained is Kit Harington now, and the rest of the occult universe. So yeah, I think it's going in an interesting direction. Where it'll lead, who knows? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
I've got a question for you actually about Oscar Isaac, because obviously we sort of know a little bit about what Moon Knight's about, the schizophrenia, the multiple personalities.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry for an actor like that's got to put themselves into that role? I refer to maybe Heath Ledger as the Joker, or Jared Leto, who sort of did some horrific things to his own cast members apparently to try and get into that mindset.
Yeah.
Do you worry? Are you worried for Oscar Isaac, or do you think he's going to be all right?
You know what? I think acting is an interesting trade, because you have got to embody a different person anyway. I guess what you referred to was a particular type of acting, which is method acting. I don't think Oscar is a self-proclaimed method actor, unlike what you talked about before, which people they haven't broken character. They're almost the moment they step onto the grounds of the movie studio, they are in character. It's not until they go back home that perhaps they may not even stop there. So I think it's an interesting profession. I think you've got to have an element of that concern. I'm not specifically for Oscar. I think he's a phenomenal actor. Ex Machina.
Yeah. That's
a film for... It's not a horror film, but he was phenomenal in that. He was a recluse billionaire who invites a guy to his retreat to look at artificial intelligence. I won't spoil it because I do want people to watch it if I haven't. It's Ex Machina, and he's brilliant in it. Dan, it's so good. It's one of my most favourite films of the last probably 10 years. So I'm a massive fan of him. I think he's going to do wonders for the franchise. He's great in Star Wars.
Oh, God, yeah. Poe Dameron, wasn't he?
Yeah, he kind of propped up the last two films, almost solo, and that's saying a lot because there wasn't really much in it. But yeah, I think he's going to be great in his Moon Knight. I think it's going to be a wonderful addition.
Yeah, it's got plenty to look forward to the MCU universe and future episodes for us. I can't wait. Genuinely quite excited.
Loads.
But if we've missed anything in this episode, if you've got any of your own theories, talking of theories, we'll talk about one of our future episodes next. You can get in contact with us on the topic pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we've got Gmail, which is on the topic podcast at gmail.com. We're also on Spotify if you want to listen to us there. And Alex, we've got WordPress.
We do, yeah. We've got a WordPress website. It is all lowercase, all one word, on the topic podcast.wordpress.com. And on there, you can see our ugly mugs. You can read our bios, see what we're all about. And you can also visit our affiliate partner site, Morbid and Mundane, amongst other things. And if you don't have a particular preference of a podcast player, then you can also stream a whole back catalogue from the website too. So no excuses. Sign up, get your newsletter, get notified when there's a new release. And it's a good place to go and hang out.
Indeed. And if you want to get involved like some of our previous listeners, we put a link into our socials. So whenever I post sort of on a regular basis, click on that link. That'll take you through to Anchor. Now on there, just accept yes to using your microphone on your mobile device and leave us a voice message and get involved.
Oh, yes.
If you want to get involved in some of our upcoming episodes, we are going to be doing a season 4 breakdown of Cobra Kai, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yes.
I absolutely binged the shit out of that in about 3 days. I thought it was really good. And the votes have been cast. So on Instagram this week, Alex, I put up some episodes for what we're going to do next. And the one that won the poll was Crazy Fan Film Theories. Now, this stemmed off from the idea of a link that I sent you just after Christmas about The Holiday, one of our favourite Christmas films that actually...
bleak.
It's quite bleak, yeah. She was inhaling the gas on the stove, passed out, possibly dies, and the whole film's a hallucination. But that's... Yeah, I don't know where these people think this up. It's bonkers.
Sick bastards. But no, there might be something in it. I hope there isn't. But yeah, I think that's an interesting concept. So get into contact. Let us know. Are there any other crazy theories that perhaps we need to get listening to?
Yeah, absolutely. But for another week, I'm going to be heading back to my universe. I need to go feed my cat. I'm Dan.
And I'm going to be coming face to face with Patrick Stewart, and I'm delighted with Professor X. I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next time.
Fight!